Not sure if you've noticed recently, but there is a shift happening. Nearly half of America's biggest cities have seen home prices fall fast. And even in the last few days, US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, he said the R word. He gave a warning that we might be in a recession. So, what does this mean for the housing market? And is this just a natural slowdown after the summer? Or does this mean something bigger? Something like 2008. And here in San Diego, median home prices have fallen from 2024. They were above the $1 million mark, and now they're below that. So let's break it down nationally, locally, and also to help you figure out if it makes sense if you are going to buy a property in the next 12 months or put your house on the market. We'll also look at three key factors that are affecting home prices. And stick around to the end because I'll break down whether this slowdown is similar to 2008 and history is repeating itself. Hey, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm Jade, a local San Diego realtor, and I cover the housing market news and what's going on so you can stay informed. Okay, so you might have noticed that for sale signs have been staying on front lawns a little bit longer. There's been more price cuts. And generally, more houses have been on the market as well. So, across the country, home prices have come to almost a complete standstill, or in many markets, they've reversed. So, according to an S&P Case-Shiller index, in August, home prices across the nation only rose 1.5%. That is the slowest amount of growth in 2 years since 2023. And out of 20 metros, 9 metros have seen home prices fall. And the other ones, it's been slower than the national average, which is 1.5%. So either they've slowed down or they've just remained flat. So when this happens, buyers have more leverage, they have room to negotiate, and they can also take their time on putting in an offer. But this also points to something deeper. Affordability is a real issue. There's stubbornly high mortgage rates, and buyers are just really taking their time. That's why this Treasury Secretary's warning is making a lot of headlines this week, because it is pointing to the possibility of something more ominous. Because when there is a recession in the housing market, this could be a domino effect in the economy. So, where are prices falling the most? Well, the biggest price dips are happening where prices soared during the pandemic. So places like Tampa is down 3%, Miami is down 1.5%, and Dallas is around 1% dip. So across the West, Phoenix, Denver, Los Angeles, and even San Diego have seen prices slip or remain flat. Economists are calling this a resetting, and I'm calling it that the market is just taking a breather. But before anyone panics, and if you're wondering about San Diego, let's dive into the numbers so you can stay informed and educated. Here in San Diego, the median home price for single family homes in September 2024, a year ago, was $1,020,000. Fast forward to a year, now it is $990,000, a dip of 3%. So this puts us below the $1 million mark for the first time in months. And according to the San Diego Union Tribune, prices have stopped rising and inflation has outpaced home growth, which means that even if home prices are flat, what your home is worth is actually a little bit less because inflation has risen. And so this isn't a crash, it's only a 3% dip, but this is coming off double-digit gains during that pandemic. In 2020, appreciation was 14%, and in 2021, it was 18%. If you're a homeowner, those were the great years, and now things have come to almost a standstill. Homes are staying on the market longer, buyers are having more choice. But if you are in a desirable neighborhood, competition is still there. Not a lot, but there is some. And to put this in perspective, in the last year in San Diego County, there were 15,000 single family homes that were sold and 8,000 attached homes, which is condos, townhouses, multifamily. So 8,000 homes were sold. So plus the 15, so that's 23,000 properties across San Diego County that have sold in the past 12 months. So if you are thinking about selling your home in the next 12 months, there are still homes that are moving. And if you're curious what your home is worth, I've linked a free home evaluation in the description below. Click down there and I'll send you a personal snapshot of what your home is worth and give you some insight on your neighborhood as well. Or if you have any questions, just call or text me. My number is right here on the screen. All right, let's keep going. So if you're curious if we're in a buyer's market, buyers do have more leverage than they've had in the last during the pandemic years. So they can definitely ask for credits, closing costs, concessions, and they can also take their time in putting in an offer. And right now, mortgage rates have dipped down to the lowest in a year. So right now, a 30-year fixed rate mortgage is around 6.19%. And that's also making some buyers jump off the fence. So right now we're in a more balanced, healthier market. And if you're wondering how similar is this housing market to 2008? Well, back then in San Diego, the median home price in 2008 was $525,000. And then after the crash, it dipped down to $370,000, which was a 30% drop. So right now in 2025, we have a 3% drop, not a 30% drop. And months of inventory was 16 months. So it definitely was in a buyer's favor, and foreclosures made up 40% of sales. Where compare that to now, we have about 3 months of inventory and only less than 1% are distressed sales. So the problem back in 2008 was that loans were toxic and there was a huge oversupply of homes on the market. So now in 2025, it's more of an issue of affordability and tight credit, which is very different dynamic compared to 2008. So this isn't a collapse right now, but it is a reset. If you're curious about what's going to happen in the next few months and going into 2026, so it's 3 factors to consider. So the first factor is inventory. So this is the old classic Economics 101. Right now, San Diego County just has 3 months of supply, which is still mildly a seller's market, but active listings are up 15 to 20% from last fall. This is giving buyers more choice. And if we end up hitting the supply territory of 4 to 5 months, that's more balanced territory. And then if we go into 6 months, then it will definitely be tipping into buyers' favor. Now, the second factor that is going to affect home prices and the housing market, number 2, is interest rates. So interest rates right now, 30-year fixed rate mortgage is at 6.19%, so the lowest in a year. So that is helping buyers. And the Fed has mentioned that they might drop rates again in December. Every point drop in rates will give buyers 10% more purchasing power. So thousands of sideline buyers could be jumping back into the market, especially in Poway, Rancho Bernardo, and along the coast where there is always strong demand. However, if rates end up ticking back up, these buyers could just vanish overnight. So interest rates is a real wild card. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. And finally, the last factor that is going to affect housing prices and home sales is the local economy. In San Diego, we are very blessed with a strong local economy. We haven't been experiencing some of the mass layoffs in other metros or shrinking populations. We've got biotech in Torrey Pines, defense in Miramar and Point Loma, a strong education and healthcare, thriving tourist sector. With the constant influx of military transfers and relocation buyers to the San Diego area, we've got a strong flow of housing demand. So just as long as the job base stays solid, then we're on pretty solid ground. To sum it up, if inventory keeps rising and giving buyers more choice, prices might soften even a little bit more. If rates drop even 0.5%, then expect to see more demand from buyers. And if our economy stays strong, which it likely will, San Diego will stay steady even as the rest of the country adjusts. Now, what this means, if you are thinking about purchasing a property, this could be your window. There's less competition, more negotiating power, and possibly better rates ahead in December. Now, if you're selling, then strategy is key. There are, as I mentioned, over 20,000 homes in the past year that have sold. To homes that are priced right and presented beautifully, they're still moving. And if you're curious what your home was worth, don't hesitate to reach out. My number is right here on the screen. And if you found value in this video, please consider hitting the like button, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell so you know the next time a new video comes out. I'm making videos every week. And if you have any comments about what you think is going to happen to the San Diego housing market and home prices, put it down in the comments. I read every single one. And if you are curious about what else is happening in the San Diego market, then check out this video.